What's up, dudes? It's Josh, and for the year 2023, my big project was to replace my aging, about to explode and flood the entire house water heater. And just like normal, I recorded the whole thing and made it into a way too long and boring video. Wait, don't turn it off yet. Unless you have no desire to learn about water heaters. In that case, you can go, I guess. It's fine. But if you are going to replace your water heater and you are thinking about doing it and what you could do, please stick around and use the little scrubber bar to get to a section that interests you and that could help you out. Now, some really cool stuff that I did on this water heater. Number one, I increased the capacity by using something called a tank booster. Now, it sounds like snake oil, and it slightly is, but it really does work to boost your tank's capacity. And I'm going to show you how and why it works, and it's a great freaking idea. The second thing I did was I put a remote relay on it so I can control it. Now, newer water heaters may come with this feature, but if you're using an older water heater, it probably doesn't. At the click of a button, you could turn this thing on and turn it off to schedule when it's used. Now, it makes no absolute sense to leave your water heater on all the time. And that's why the whole reason I did this. This allows me to schedule it and make it so I use less energy. Alright, so if all that sounds good and you're sticking with me through this video, let's freaking get started and learn some stuff and do some stuff. Water heater edition. So in addition to the age, there's some more red flags on the install of this guy. Let's take a look at these connections. So this valve has never worked. It's actually frozen, and I'm not frozen because there's like frost on it. I think this is more corrosion here from, we'll talk about in a second, with the unions. And I've been afraid to even try to open it or mess with it because I don't want to have to deal with the install when I'm not ready. So let's take the rest of this crap off. This is the cold water side right here. So yeah, this doesn't look too bad. Those solder joints aren't horrible, except for some, green corrosion, but that's not uncommon. But what we're looking at for the main part is this connection here with where it connects to the expansion tank. It is, oh gosh, it's very corroded. And yeah, it's just, yeah, you don't want to see this, I don't think. Plus the fact that this thing has been installed sideways. Now they can function sideways, but essentially there's like a balloon in here that, inflates or deflates, but, it regulates the pressure. And if it was to fail, it would be really bad. If it was sideways, you wouldn't know it. So essentially, this should not be mounted sideways. And if it is sideways, I'd rather it be, truly sideways and not like whatever this angle is. So it's got to be replaced. This thing is pre-fail. I mean, you can see, I don't even know what that is that's built up over time. Some of it's insulation, but some of that is, dripping from this. It's not a good thing that you want. So what they should have used was dielectric nipples here, here, and where you connect to the tank. Let's take a look at this and see. I mean, this solder joint doesn't look bad other than they just blobbed the solder on it. I mean, that doesn't look too pretty to me. This 90 elbow looks like it's been actually hit with a hammer or something. Holy crap. I'm guessing this is the last piece left on the plumber's truck, or, maybe because it's out of sight back here in the corner. Yeah, I think this is just textbook signs of a rushed or bad install. Getting into what product I chose and why, this was a subject of major analysis paralysis when I was starting this project. I went back and forth so much. I'll try to summarize here. I went with a plastic water heater tank. Why not traditional metal tank? Well, it's cheaper, but they have a lifespan, and their method of failure is rusting and leaking. And since this is an attic, that's a major concern for me. So why not move it out of the attic? Well, it is kind of weird that it's in the attic. This is normal for the South. But once I started to analyze where to put it, there wasn't any really good space. My garage couldn't do it. And then
Also, moving it with my piping configuration was very hard. So this thing's going back in the attic. So why even have a tank at all? Why not go tankless? I love tankless. They are great options. They're very efficient for the right situation. But recently, my gas bills have been volatile. They've doubled in size. Another reason is this would have to share a gas line with my upstairs package unit, and I don't want them fighting for gas. And the options for moving the tankless water heater location outside, your unit gets nasty and destroyed after a few years with the elements, and it looks gross. In a crawl space, you have to deal with venting, noxious gas out of your crawl space. And if you screw that up, you pump gas into your house. Not a big fan of that. Electric tankless. They have to have a large circuit, and it would be bigger than the circuit I have in place for my electric tanked heater. And that would be a lot more work running a new circuit all the way up to the attic. Why not heat pumps? I love the idea of heat pump water heaters. They are fascinating. They can save you tons of money. They probably are the way of the future. However, in my situation, it's just not going to work very well. First of all, I'd have to install a condensate drain because it is an air conditioner essentially on your water heater. And the only way to do that would be to pump it outside, which is not ideal, or pump it down my drain, which can be damaging to septic systems. Acidic water is damaging to the bacteria. So long story short, I don't like that solution. Now, some smaller things is it's still mostly metal, so that concern of it rusting and leaking over time is still valid in my opinion. The price on these are the highest you'll pay for a water heater. And the other thing is the jury is still out, in my opinion, on the repairs and the longevity of these. They can probably last a long time, but when one part breaks, your water heater part breaks, are you calling a plumber or are you calling an HVAC service tech to work on the air conditioner on top? Don't discount heat pumps. They are awesome. I would like to use one at some point, but just not for me right now in this situation. Whew, that was a lot of information. Sorry. Now for the product I did pick, it is the Marathon water heater by Rheem, and it is a plastic, or more specifically polybutylene plastic tanked water heater. And my main advantage is it does not leak via rusting. It has a long lifespan, given the name Marathon. And the only thing that I think I'm going to have to worry about if I keep up with the maintenance is replacing the elements at some point. And those are not expensive. It beats redoing the whole thing. So fingers crossed we can make this thing last for double the amount of time that a water heater would normally last. I'm hoping 20 plus years. Now you might say, polybutylene, Josh, isn't that what you completely removed from your house when you replumbed it and replaced with PEX back in 2020? Yes, it is. It is the same material that got a class action lawsuit filed against it for its application as a piping material. But if you recall, the problem with it wasn't necessarily the piping, but the fittings used in the piping that caused it to rupture. This one is totally okay. So let's install it. I replaced the entire thing in one day. It was a very long day. Make sure you turn off your power, your water, and drain. That is number 10, first O thing O. I think this thing is clogged again. So here's my valve. When I do that, it makes a not great noise. I don't know, it's kind of just burping every few minutes, so I think it's done. At this point, the drain valve was fully clogged with sediment, and ye old coat hanger trick you see me doing here is having diminishing returns. So I was just basically stirring it up at this point, so it decided to cut the thing loose. Because I was thinking I might just cut here and put the valve here, but I need some space to put the new expansion tank, and it's not going to fit between here and the roof. So I'm thinking I need to come here and cut it, and I'll put the expansion tank sitting in this area with a T that comes over. And yes, it's gigantic. I originally purchased this when I was going to get a 50 gallon, but then I realized the 50 gallon wouldn't fit through my attic door. So I had to go back to the 40 gallon, but that's fine. You can always go above. Let's think about that. So we want come up, shut off valve, small section of pipe, go to the T. Once it's got enough clearance to go over, a little bit more pipe, dielectric union, and then the expansion tank goes on top at the last. You know, we could put it on last. Okay, I got a brand new tool for this. 3/4 inch copper. So it's got a little arrow, that's cool. Shows you where. So it just snaps over top of it. I kind of really like that. It's so easy. And then you just twist it. There it goes. It's a wild sucking sound coming from it. Hey, but at least there's no water. I like that. So now that's loose. There was some tension on that guy. See how it jumped away from there? I'm gonna make sure to not put any tension on our pipe on the next one. Also under a lot of tension. Getting to the electrical connections on these is normally pretty simple. There is typically a junction box on the top. You might have to have a cable clamp, but normally just a couple screws. So over here, so let's take a picture of that. I'm just gonna undo those. Apparently this one had one yellow connection, black coming in, so just basically a black and a white, which we're gonna have black and red. And that just broke off. Nice. And now we've broken this thing all the way through, so let's see if we can pick it up and move it. But yeah, it's just in the way now. I want to get that in place so I know where all my heights are and I can kind of find out its final position. Surprisingly, the plumbing tape was actually holding it. It was taking some of the weight off of there, which is good. Let's see how heavy it is. It is still pretty heavy. This is gonna be tough. Well, I tried to flip it over, try to get it out of here, but I'm just one guy and I need probably 2 guys to do this. So I think it would be easier if there was half of it. So we're gonna do the exact same thing I did in my other video and saw this thing in half. I mean, it'll help to get it down out of this place anyways. This process is really not fun. Make sure if you end up having to do this, you make sure to get some really nice blades for your Sawzall. I did not have those in this case and end up going through maybe 2 or 3 blades by the end of this thing. Well, I think I broke it. Let's go ahead and say this is a lucky place to cut or to stop cutting because I would have gotten drenched. Obviously the gallons did not drain, so let's drop the submersible pump in there and take a lunch. Yeah, that's probably still about 20 gallons. I would say I only drained about the top third of the tank. Gosh! This water's still hot though, so that's good. This thing can hold heat for a long time. Honestly, don't see that much sediment underneath there. This thing needs to go down further. Crap. But yeah, not just a little bit of sediment, a mega amount of sediment. It's probably about 3 to 4 inches deep on the bottom of the pan here. Yeah, no wonder it didn't drain. And this is what 18 years of not flushing your tank looks like. That's pretty messy. Element looks like it's actually in good shape. Taking a look at the valve here, only a pencil-sized hole able to have any water pass through. To take off any extra copper, that's free money at the scrapyard. Good riddance to that old piece of crap. Okay, let's take a look at the connections on this thing. First one is the electrical connection, and I'm going to be probably just doing that right now while it's disconnected. So, do not void warranty. Install according to the instructions. Oh, it's just covering up the screws that I need to get into there. Probably would have known that if I read the instructions. Oh, it's just a little cover. That's cool. So under the cover, we got green, red, and black. That seems like it's pretty easy. But there's a separate ground screw. Why is that there? Oh, duh. That's for attaching my ground. It'd be nicer if that was like a terminal, I think. But, oh, whatever. Let's loosen it up. There's a little lock washer underneath there. Does that washer go under the wire or over top of the wire? I'm about to go look that up. Actually, I'm not going to look it up because there's an existing one and it's got like a little clamp. Let's take a look at that one and see what it looks like. Yeah, okay, so it's got a little clamp, and that clamp is underneath that lock washer. Let's put it back down. Should we do a clamp to be cool? Probably. Let's do it. Just gonna stick these guys on here. It's the 221s. These are rated for 30 amps. It is totally fine to use here. So let's check out the strip gauge. It's almost exact. Now this isn't plugged into anything. I'm not doing anything right now. Nothing's hot. This is, you know, just hanging out. So no, it's all safe. So what I'm using to replace my power cord that's existing, that's just that Romex cable, is this power whip, 1/2-inch conduit. It's liquid tight, non-metallic conduit. It's waterproof, but obviously you don't need waterproof. It's just overkill for my situation. Obviously, what was there before worked, but I think this make it look better, and it matches the color. Oh baby, you got to make sure you get the right size here. This is number 10, 10 AWG. 3 conductors in there. This is a 6 foot because I don't need 6 feet, but better to get more. I think there was a 3 feet and a 6 feet. Does anybody else reuse zip ties? Like, I mean, this came with it, so cut it off as small, close as you can to the edge, and you could just pull this little piece out. And then you got yourself a zip tie. Oh, reuse that! Not sure what these are. Came with the both sides. Your wires go through. There's a little piece that goes in. And you just push it in. I think that side is sealed. A lot of the other videos had where this thing actually squeezed down on it. This is inside, so it's not a big deal to me. The main connection is here. So that's going through. There's a little washer right there. A little black rubber seal. Yet again, this is just for the waterproofness of it. But, you know, you take this guy, put him on there. So whenever you squeeze it, whenever you tighten it up, that's going to seal outside of this onto it and kind of compress that gasket. This is not going to go outside. Alright, so that represents our incoming wires. This guy is our ground. We're going to put a fancy ground connector on him. Okay, there's our ground screw ready to go. Okay, there's our black connected. Okay, and there goes our red one connected. I like it. So that completes our connections. It's pretty, it doesn't get any simpler than that. red to red, black to black. Obviously, when you go to your panel, you want to make sure those are the right way. Yeah, I know, the tape probably will be pretty crispy after a year, but I'm going to do it anyways. Definitely want to do the pull tests on these. I did that earlier, just to make sure you don't got a bad connector. Obviously, you could use wire nuts here too. So you want to kind of get these in there where it's not pushing up against the box. Okay, got the conduit on there. It doesn't move around. It looks nice. I like it. Holy crap, you made it through 1/3 of my hour-long video. Applaud yourself. Unfortunately, not everyone has the same attention span as you. If the next part is up, just roll right into it. If not, take a little bit of a breather until it is. And I'll see you there.